Now let's talk about this month's book haul. You guys, I went a little crazy this month. It's a lot. There's two large stacks of books sitting next to me right here. So let's go through them. And I'm going to present these in the order that I acquired them because it's a bit of a saga. I have a little story to tell you, okay? So early on in the month, I went to a Friends of the Library bookstore, which is not too far from where I live, just like a mile or two away, and I like to go there whenever I can. They are only open Wednesdays and Saturdays, and I found The Black Company Chronicles of the Black Company by Glen. This is an omnibus. It's the first 3 books in the Black Company series. It's The Black Company, Shadows Linger, and The White Rose. And I've kind of heard about The Black Company. Early on, when I started reading fantasy, I heard about this, but I kind of just pushed it away and didn't think too much about it. I've heard that this is basically like the predecessor to Grimdark, and I thought that wasn't for me. But since then, I've learned that I really enjoy Grimdark, and so I'm excited to check this out. I think it started in the 80s, maybe the 90s. It's a long series, so I'm excited to read these first 3 books, see if I enjoy them, and if I do, I will continue with the series. Oh, and I almost forgot to mention, I'm going to tell you how much I paid for these books. This was $2. On that same trip, I found book number 1 in the Chaos Walking series by Patrick Ness. This is The Knife of Never Letting Go, also $2 at the same bookstore. I have the 3rd one in this series, and I remember when I very first discovered BookTube, there was this girl that I used to watch her videos, and she talked about this series that she really liked it. In retrospect, I'm not sure if this book is really for me, but I have told myself I'm going to give it a try. Another book that I'm not super convinced that I'm really going to like, it just caught my attention. It's called Frog Kisser by Garth. This is also $2, and this is an ex-library copy, so it's got some stickers and stuff on it, but I don't really mind that. It is in good condition. I saw this at a library at a high school that I used to work at, and it kind of caught my attention again. I think it is middle grade or YA, but I don't know, something about it just sounds fun. So then after that trip to that bookstore is when we took our family trip to Plainview, Texas, and we passed through Lubbock and went to a bookstore called Second and Charles. They sell both new and used books. I'm a total cheapskate. You'll almost never catch me buying a new book, but I like to check out used books, and this place you can occasionally find some pretty good gems. First, I went to the kids section. I had a couple of my daughters with me, and I found this, Thrilling Tales from the Treehouse. It's part of the Last Kids on Earth series. This is takes place between books 6 and 7, I think. My son really likes these books. I actually would be more than happy to read this series. It looks really fun. There's a Netflix series based on this book series, and I've seen a little bit of that, and it seems really good. It's about this apocalypse, zombie apocalypse type thing, but also has to deal with monsters from another dimension coming to Earth, and it's basically just this group of kids that are the last kids on Earth, right? They're the only survivors, and whatever they're doing to try to keep that going, try to stay surviving. I found this one, it was only $4. Yeah, it was $4. And so it's in great condition. I got it for my son. On the clearance shelf at Second and Charles, I found Everything is Illuminated by Jonathan Safran Foer. I really like this jacket design. It caught my attention. I don't know anything about this book, but it was $3.55, and so I got it. Now over in the sci-fi fantasy section, I found Science Fiction The Great Years, Volume 2, edited by Carol and Frederik Pohl. So it's a short story anthology. This has some really big name authors. It has A.E. Van Vogt, Robert Heinlein. It's got, I don't know if you can see that, Sturgeon. That's sort of blurry, sorry. I love short stories. Got this for, $1.95. A few months ago, I read Waystation by Clifford D. Simak, and I really enjoyed it quite a lot. And so when I saw this, Why Call Them Back from Heaven, for, what did I get this for? $1.45, I knew I had to have it. It's not in the best condition, a little bit beat up, but definitely still readable. All the words are still inside, so I'm excited to check that out. The last book I got at Second and Charles, this one I was really excited to see for a couple different reasons. I have a couple anthologies on the shelf behind me called Other Worlds, Other Times and Other Worlds, Other Gods. So when I saw this, Other Worlds, Other Seas, I knew I had to have it. And it was $0.25. It was 25 cents, you guys. So that was really cool. I was excited to see that. I was excited to get it. And then when I checked out the table of contents, I was even more excited because it's got 4 stories by Stanislaw Lem. Stanislaw, the author of Solaris. So I was really excited to see that. I've never found any Lem anywhere. I've never read any Lem. I've just heard about him. And so, yeah, excited to check this out. Although, I have to complain. I was actually kind of pissed about this. It was a quarter, right? It was 25 cents. They charged me $1.50, and I didn't notice until later, till I already left. $1.50, not a big deal, right? But it is 600% of what I thought I was going to pay, right? 6 times more, so whatever. All right, sort of a bizarre couple of finds here. I had to run to Dollar Tree for something just down the street from our place, and there's a book section, and very rarely will there be anything worth getting, although a couple times I have found a couple interesting things there. I was shocked. I was flabbergasted, you guys. I looked there, and they had Warrior of the Altai by Robert Jordan. Like, brand spanking new. It does not have the little black dot, meaning that it was like a resell, like used book or anything like that. Really nice, brand new condition. I don't know anything about this. I've heard people say read The Wheel of Time first and then read this, and that this was maybe somehow influential on The Wheel of Time, or you can see some of like seeds of The Wheel of Time in this. I don't really know. It was published after his death, and yeah, I was just like really shocked to see it there, and so I grabbed it for $1.25. Also, I was surprised to see, I don't know how you say his name, Chuck Palahniuk. He's the author of Fight Club. There was this book by him. I don't know anything about it, but it was $1.25 at Dollar Tree, so I grabbed it, right? Again, brand new hardcover, and so that was kind of cool. So those were a couple of really cool finds. Now, the next part of the saga is not so heartwarming. My local Savers thrift store has recently like jacked up their prices like crazy. Like 2-3 months ago, hardcovers that used to be $4 are now $10. Every hardcover in the store is $10, no matter the condition. Trade paperbacks, the larger paperbacks, are all $10 now. That's crazy to me. It's completely insane. Mass market paperbacks, which used to be $2, maybe $3, they're now like $5 and $6. Although there are a few that you can find a little bit cheaper than that. You kind of got to hunt through a little bit. So I stopped buying books there, but I keep going back every once in a while just to see if they've like come to their senses and lowered their prices. I know, and before you come at me in the comments, I know everybody has to raise their prices. Inflation's crazy. I understand that. But raising your prices by 250% on used books that you got for free? Like, that's crazy. Apparently, I'm not the only one who has stopped buying books there because the shelves are overflowing. While I was there, an employee came by with one of those big donation bins and started tossing armloads of books into the unceremoniously, not being careful, grabbing them, throwing them over her shoulders, just books are getting bent and squashed, and I'm like, what's going on? I asked her, what's happening? Are you getting rid of these? And she said, no, we recycled it. She said, no, we're not getting rid of them. We recycle them. What the heck does that mean? So you are getting rid of them, right? And yeah, they're just throwing them away to make room for new donations. So she's throwing armloads off the shelf and putting new donations on the shelf. And one of the ones that they were tossing out was Wuthering Heights by Emily, is it Brontë? I don't know how you pronounce this. It's a classic novel. I don't really know anything about it. I want to read more classic stuff, so I figured I'd grab it. And then I started looking, and a brand new book that employee put on the shelf. I told myself I wasn't going to buy new books, but I saw this one, Fool's Errand by Robin Hobb. It was only $3, so I went ahead and got it. My Robin Hobb collection, my Realm of the Elderlings, is almost complete now. I'm only missing 3 more to have that full series in mass market paperback. So I was kind of excited for that one, to be honest. The saga continues. This is where it gets a little bit crazy. I went to a different Friends of the Library bookstore. It's a little bit farther from my house. I don't get to go there quite as often. And they had a lot of great books on the shelves. I had a stack of like 12 or 14 books. And then, I don't know, I just kind of talked myself out of it. I just kind of came to my senses and was like, what am I doing buying all these books? I have all these books on my shelf that I haven't bought yet. Like, what are you doing? Come on. And I ended up like talking myself out of them one by one. And I was about to leave empty-handed when I thought, I'll just go look around. I was in the sci-fi fantasy section, and then I thought, I'll just go look around in the regular fiction section. And there's been a lot of talk on BookTube about this book lately. It's one that's sort of been on my radar a little bit more recently. The Pillars of the Earth by Ken Follett. And you won't believe this, hardcover, excellent condition. 50 cents, you guys, 50 cents at the Friends of the Library bookstore, a few miles from my house. So very cool. I'm excited to check that out. So I mentioned the channel Bookpilled earlier in this video. I really like that channel a lot. Matt is a great book reviewer. I recommend you go check him out. But he also sells books on a live auction app called Whatnot, and it's kind of fun to check it out. I signed up using the link on his channel, and that gets you $15 like free credit to use to buy things on Whatnot. So the other day I went, and actually it was not an auction with Matt. I went on to another auction. First off was Gloriana by Michael Moorcock. This won, I believe, the Locus Award. No, I think it won the World Fantasy Award, and that's why I was interested in it. This was $5, but it was basically free for me because I used my credit from signing up. So very cool. While I was watching that live auction, the seller put up this book, Abhorsen by Garth. This is part of the Abhorsen trilogy, which was later expanded. So I think the proper name for it is the Old Kingdom series, because now it's like 5 or 6 books. But I have a few of those books, and I saw this and I was like, oh, that cover doesn't look familiar. I don't think I have that. And I bought it for $1. And then I went to check my shelf, and I do have it. So I'm kind of mad at myself. It was a very stupid thing to buy a book that I already own. And also, although my copy is an ex-library copy, it actually feels much more solid and like in better condition than this one. You can kind of see how the binding is just like loose on this one. So I think I'm actually probably just gonna turn around and donate this or sell it or something and keep the one that I already had. In that same auction, I got 3 to the Highest Power. This is a collection anthology thing. It's got a story by Ray Bradbury, Chad Oliver, and Theodore Sturgeon. Don't know anything about it, but it was like $1 or maybe $2, so I went ahead and got it. The last book I got from this auction, I was really excited to see this one, and it is in wonderful condition. I got this, I think, for $2. This is 12 Rules for Life by Mr. Jordan B. Peterson. Very intellectual individual. I really, I don't follow him that closely, but pretty much everything I see from him, I really enjoy. And I've been wanting to read this book. I've been wanting to find a copy of it, and thankfully, I did. After I left that Friends of the Library bookstore with only Pillars of the Earth, I started thinking about it, and I started researching, and a few of those books that I was kind of thinking about, they don't have them available at my local library, so I was like, okay, I'll go back and get them. And I ended up getting a bunch of stuff. These first few are all from the Vorkosigan saga by Lois McMaster Bujold. I got A Civil Campaign for $2. A hardcover of Memory for $2. Now, I just talked about how mad I was at myself for buying a book I already owned. I got home and realized I already have this one in paperback. So I don't know what the heck is wrong with me. I have a list on my phone of all the books I own, and I usually search for things. I wasn't able to do that during the auction because it was like fast paced. But in the bookstore, I searched, and my notes were wrong. I did not have this listed in my book collection, so that is just my mistake. But now I have 2 copies. A nice hardcover of Komar for $2. And this omnibus, like 3-in-1 volume for $2. It's called Young Miles, and it contains The Warrior's Apprentice, which is a novel, The Mountains of Mourning, which I believe is a novella, and The Vor Game, which I think is a novel. Yeah. So the Vorkosigan saga has won a lot of like Hugo and Nebula awards, so I'm planning on reading the whole thing one of these days, and so that's why I'm collecting those books. Another one I grabbed from the same place is Later by Stephen King, and this was for $3. Anyone who's been watching the channel for a little while knows that I do the Stephen King readathon, so I'm reading all of his stuff in order of publication. Later is one of his later books, and so I won't be reading it for a while, but now I have a copy. Another award-winning book that I found that is not available at my local library is The Moon and the Sun by Vonda and McIntyre. I don't know anything about this. This won the Nebula Award, so again, that's why I got it. I also went ahead and allowed myself to get a few Larry Niven books. I really like Niven's short stories. I got A Hole in Space for $2, Neutron Star for $2, and Rainbow Mars for $2. These are all collections of short stories. Rainbow Mars is the Svets stories, which I really, really like. Actually, Rainbow Mars itself is a novel. So this part of the book is the novel Rainbow Mars, and then the rest of the book is like 4 or 5 or 6 short stories that deal with the same characters. I also picked up 3 Trips in Time and Space, sort of edited by Robert Silverberg, not really. He wrote a foreword with some ideas, and then these 3 authors, Larry Niven, John Brunner, and Jack Vance, were approached and asked, hey, take this forward and like write a story about it, this idea, this concept or whatever. And they all 3 went and kind of different directions, and now they're all collected here. I got this for $2. A really wonderful find. I've been looking for a nice copy of The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn for a while. This is a nice hardcover copy, really excellent condition. I've read this before, but I just wanted to have a nice, to put on my show-off shelf. This is a real classic, very good book. I got this for $4. Another short story collection I picked up. I've never heard of this guy, Daniel H. Wilson, but this title really intrigued me, and I read the back cover, and it sounds like there's some pretty wild and fun stories. Guardian Angels and Other Monsters. I really like that title. So this is a short story collection. Again, it's an ex-library copy. It's not in the best condition. It's actually the back cover is torn a little bit, but it kind of caught my attention, and I'm willing to check it out. The last book that I got at the Friends of the Library bookstore was The Devil in a Forest by Gene Wolfe. This was also $2. I don't know anything about it. Supposedly about a struggle between good and evil, it says on the back. Gene Wolfe is pretty cool, so I'm going to check it out. Now, there was another book at that store, which I won't tell you the title of. I left it that time. I saw it the first time. I was going to get it the second time, but I ended up getting all these other ones, and I thought, you know what? This one doesn't make the cut, and I left it. On a Saturday, I went to go get my vehicle inspected to get the registration renewed, and right across the street from the mechanic is that Friends of the Library bookstore, which is close to my house. So I just popped in. I was not expecting to find anything because I had just been there not very long before. But I found a nice, very good condition mass market paperback of Sphere by Michael Crichton. This is perhaps my favorite Michael Crichton book, and I've been looking for a nice copy of it for a while now. Although I have to be honest, after picking this up, this was $2. After picking it up, I did sort of regret it, and I thought, maybe I should have waited to find a hardcover. I would really like a hardcover of this. This is also like the movie tie-in, which obviously is never as good. If I do find a hardcover, I'll probably get rid of this one and get that. So there was this book that I left behind at the Friends of the Library bookstore. Not the one close to my house, but the one a little bit farther away. I left it behind both of those times that I went, and I couldn't stop thinking about it, and I said, I gotta go back for it. So I did, and as soon as I walked in the door, the lady at the desk said, hey, you were in here the other day, and you bought a bunch of sci-fi and fantasy stuff, right? And I was like, yeah. And I thought for a second she was gonna say, well, we got a bunch of new donations, so check it out, or whatever. She gave me even better news. She told me, oh, I accidentally overcharged you. I forgot that we were running a discount, and all of the sci-fi and fantasy books were half off. So she's like, I owe you $9 because you bought 9 books. And then later I did the math and I actually bought 11 books. So she owed me $11, but it's okay. So instead of those all being $2 each, they were actually all $1 each, which was really cool. So I went ahead and grabbed that one that I had been thinking about. It's The Heaven Makers by Frank Herbert. The reason I had kind of talked myself out of it is it just looks so goofy, but I want to have it. It's Frank Herbert, so yeah. He, of course, wrote Dune. Since the lady was giving me $9, I said, well, I guess I'll go ahead and get a couple other books that I kind of had my eye on. I got The Spare Man by Mary Robinette Kowal. She wrote the Lady Astronaut books, or is writing. I think that series might still be going on. I'm not really sure. Looks kind of interesting. It's a mystery set in space. I also grabbed Riverworld and Other Stories by Philip Jose Farmer. The first Riverworld book won the Hugo Award, and so I'm going to be reading that, and this is a collection of short stories, and I've heard Farmer is good, so I'm going to check it out. And then I saw it. A book that was not there a few days earlier when I had been there before. This was an incredible find. I was really, really excited to get this. It is The Fall of Numenor by J.R.R. Tolkien. Finished, edited by Brian Sibley, and of course Tolkien's son Christopher Tolkien. This is part of like the Silmarillion and unfinished tales of Numenor and Middle-earth, and the appendices of Lord of the Rings that have kind of been expanded into their own book. And I'm really excited to get this. It was $2. It is in wonderful condition. It's got like a couple little scuffs on the cover, but literally that is all that's wrong with it. It is awesome. And I texted a picture to my brother, and he said, it's the first time I'm actually jealous of you. He was pretty impressed with this cool book. So I'm super stoked to have this. But then the surprises just kept coming, because when I went to check out, the lady at the checkout, apparently the sci-fi and fantasy books were on sale not only that one day that I bought all those books, but the whole week. So these ones, instead of being $2 each like I thought, were $1 each. And instead of paying $4, she gave me $5 back because she owed me $9. So I got all these for free practically. So that just really made my day. I actually walked out of the store with more money in my pocket than I walked in with. Plus I got 4 books. All right, last few books. We're getting real close to the end here. I've got to be careful with that Whatnot app because every time I open it, there's auctions going on and it's tempting. And I attended another one and I got 4 books. First, edited by Terry Carr, we've got Universe number 4. I have Universe number 7 in paperback up on the shelf behind me. A lot of cool stories, and it was cheap, great authors, so I figured why not? This was $3. And then edited by Donald A. Wollheim, I got the 1981 Annual World's Best SF and the 1982 Annual World's Best SF. These were $3 each. This first one, 81, this contains The Ugly Chickens by Howard Waldrop, which won the Nebula Award back in 1980 and the World Fantasy Award in 1981. So I've been keeping my eyes open specifically for that short story and found this and got it. And then one more anthology edited by both Terry Carr and Donald A. Wollheim. I got World's Best Science Fiction 1970. This one includes A Boy and His Dog by Harlan Ellison, which won the Nebula Award in 1969, and that's why I was interested in it. This was $3, and yeah, I'm excited to have it. Carr and Wollheim originally co-edited this series of books, The World's Best Science Fiction, for several years, but then when this was discontinued, Wollheim went on to edit World's Annual Best SF, and Carr went on to edit World's Best Sci-Fi of the Year or something like that. They each went off on their own and did their own year's best anthologies, and they're all really good stuff. I'm not really planning on getting rid of any books except I guess that Abhorsen that I got in that auction because I again already have a copy. And then I'm not sure which one of these I want to keep and which one I want to get rid of. Normally I would hold on to the hardcover because it's nicer, I guess. But I have most of the Vorkosigan saga in paperback kind of matching this. So do I want it to be a little bit nicer or do I want it to match the rest of my books? I don't know. But I'll probably end up getting rid of one of them soon. And that's it. So thank you for watching and keep reading.